So I'm just sharing my screen. Now I think you can see
Okay.
my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's see that so this is actually the course syllabus that we'll be covering in SAP Security, and this duration is around 1 month. And in
Okay.
this 5 day week, if we go, then every day 1 hour, then it will go for around 1 month. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in this security, what are the things we are going to cover? Like the basic thing, what is the ERP, and within a ERP, what is the SAP actually, and why company needs SAP, what is the purpose for organization or any company to use SAP as a system, and within SAP, like we have the different module, and what is the purpose of each of the module. Okay, so I'm just giving you just brief outline, and then we go for what exactly we are going to learn here. So once we know that the basic stuff of the security, then we are designing the security, and then this designing will happen on the basis of what exactly the different type of job positions is there in any organization. Okay, so we will cover that. So what we are covering, let's start. I think the rest of the thing, if even if I talk to you, you may not be able to understand completely. But before that, let's know that what is actually ERP and what is the SAP. So as you know, like perhaps like whenever any organization they want to do any business, so what they are doing their business, um, any specific business, right? To you, if you take any example like a Tata Motor is there, or any other business organization is there, so they will be like selling the car. So that is their primary business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like if they do this, then what they are doing here, like they are producing car, but it's not that uh, they are directly producing the car, but to produce a car there are various departments are involved, and they have their different activities. For example, they have the sales department, right? So the sales department responsibility is to sell the car and marketing the car, right? Then we have like a production planning, PP, we can call in short form. So the production planning module is for producing a car. So this department will take care how many car they have to produce. Okay, what is the demand of the car, how to plan the car production. Like if the demand is more, then maybe the planning wise they will be planning for more shift, right? If the shift is, if the like demand is less for any specific model, so they will reduce the production of that cars, right? So like that they will plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
this planning dependent on the demand, right? Similarly, they have the finance. So whenever they are selling anything, they will be receiving some money. So the finance department will keep the track, keep the information, like how many cars they are selling, how much revenue they are getting while selling the cars, right? So similarly, like whenever they are like producing any car, so they have to buy something, right? So
Right.
to buy anything, like they have to buy, for example, tires, because tires maybe the Tata Motor is not producing, so they will be purchasing maybe from the C8, MRF, or some other company, right? So
Right.
that means they have to also purchase some of the things which they are not producing, right? So if they are purchasing also, the money has to go from finance, right?
Right. Yeah.
So their responsibility is to manage the like finance in the finance department, and material management means they are purchasing some of the goods which they are required to produce the car, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Similarly, they have the human resource. So the human resource means to manage like a manpower. So like for each of the department, some of the person they need to work and to perform some jobs, right? So the human resource is also required. Like the human resource will manage like employee salary, employee like benefits, employee time to work, okay, employee maybe the vacations. So they will manage all the things, right? So
Yeah.
like that many other department may be there. Similarly, like for quality management, to test the quality of the car whether it is correct or not, right? So like that, maybe there are many modules, but I'm just talking about some core modules. So what will happen, like in case if you assume like you don't have any computer, and then the Tata Motor doesn't have any system, and then they have to do all the things manually, like way back around like 100 years or 60 years or 80 years back. Then they, if they are producing the car, then how they have to do this? So what will happen, each of the department will be like, for example, the sale is happening, so one sales register will be maintained, like this car is sales from this location, and then they will transfer this information to maybe like a finance, right? We sell today like 4 cars, and this much amount we have produced, right? And then like if you say that some booking is happen for some cars, like Tata Nexon for example, so they say that okay, this much booking already we have, so you have to start producing those number of cars. So if the demand is more, what they will do, the production planning manager, they can increase the number of shift initially. Maybe if it is starting with one shift, then they will increase with second shift and then third shift and then maybe the fourth shift also, right? So
Yeah.
they will plan this. So this information, how they are doing this, they cannot do without any input from the sales, that we have so much of demand, and then this much demand is there, according to that they will increase the shift, right?
Yes.
So similarly, like if they are producing many things, many cars, this much demand is there, and people is asking that, then they are going to receive that much money, and then they have to purchase those many number of tires. Like 100 demand of car is there, so they are planning to purchase like 400 tire at least, right?
Yes.
So like that they will be doing this. So this information, how it is coming to this purchase department, that is coming from the sales only. Like sales will say that I got the booking for 100 cars, so then he knows that now he has to asking for buying for 400 at least tires, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So similarly, if suppose the HR also has to know that, like they want to increase, the production planning team want to increase the shift by 4 times, so they will hire that number of employees, right? Like the shift 3-4 shift they have to run, and then they have to maybe hire some of the employee. And then the quality management, so quality management job is to test all the like produced car. Okay, so
Yes.
like if there is no computer, nothing will happen, everything will be manually only. So the people in the finance, they will take the register from the sales, and they can take the register from the purchase, and they will maintain the balance sheet, and then they will say that how much money they earn and how much money is flowing to like purchasing the goods, and how much is the profit they have, right?
Right.
So that is the logic here. So now once the computer came into picture and the software has been produced, so we got one software like we call as a ERP software. So what ERP software will do, that is enterprise resource planning software. So it is all the departments, like you can say it is interconnected in the system. So what is happening, we don't have to manually maintain anywhere else, so we directly manage in the system, in the computer only. So what happened, especially in the SAP, like in each department, if suppose any sales is happening, automatically the finance department will be updated with that. Okay, so
Yeah.
in SAP all the tables are there actually. So like sales table is there, so whenever any sales table is updated with any sale, automatically information updated in the finance table, that this much money they received. Whenever the purchase department is purchasing tires, automatically the money will be debited from this finance tables. Okay, so the meaning for the company, the life will be easy,
Yeah.
and they doesn't have to like asking okay how much sales is happening, they are making phone, and or maybe they are taking register and then planning. So for that they are saving a lot of time, and like time is money, people is saying time is money na. So that is the logic here. If they save the time to transfer the information between each department, then they are saving the time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
now coming to, so until here you are okay, like understand the baseline, what why SAP is required for the organization, right?
Yes, sir.
So like they have the predefined programs or set of the information and tables. So in each of the table the data will be transferring automatically. Okay.
Okay.
So now, like if any person who want to access the SAP, then what they have to do? What, like for example, in each of the department there is some specific job function is there. Job means like a designation or jobs are there. So the jobs may be like in sales, maybe you have the many positions. For example, like sales manager, that is like a designation or the position is there in the sales department. Maybe the sales head is there whose responsibility is to manage the sales for a India maybe, or manage the sales for a like a specific state. Okay, sales head maybe the UP, or sales head maybe the like Maharashtra or some other location, right?
Yeah.
So like that, this is another person. Then maybe one more person like a sales clerk is there. Take maybe example like sales clerk, whose responsibility is to like create a sales order and see that how much cars, or maybe the quotation, he will create a quotation and give to the customer, right? So that is the idea. So each of the department there are specific jobs are there. Maybe in the production planning, production manager is there, right?
Yeah.
So different department, different jobs are there, and each of the like job will have the different set of activity they have to do, right? For example, the sales manager has to approve the sales order. Okay, so that is maybe their responsibility. Maybe their responsibility is to like display the sales order, right? so
Yeah.
so these are the things they will do in each of the department. So what will happen, like if any user like you can say ABC, or take as an example, like I'm randomly taking as a name like Vijay. So if Vijay suppose joined in the organization Tata Motor as a sales manager, so what he has to do, he has to like do the activity, like he has to approve the sales order, he has to display the sales order whether it is correct or not, right? Or maybe he is required to change the sales order. Okay, maybe take this example, right?
Yeah.
So what will happen to Vijay has to work in the Tata Motor as a sales manager. So he has to do this activity where he has to do this activity in SAP only.
Yeah.
Okay, and for him to work in SAP, what we have to do as a security consultant, we have to create his ID, user ID in SAP. Okay, that is one thing we have to do. So once we create his ID, we have to give his user ID and password by communicating via mail or phone or whatever the way is there. Okay, so that your user ID is so and so and your password is so and so. You can log in into SAP system. So that is the login part, right?
Yeah.
The second thing, okay, he can log in into the system, but he cannot do anything once we give him the access for these activity. So in
Yes.
SAP, these activity or normal we can say like a commands or in raw terms, but in SAP terms like a command we call as a transaction. Okay, so in SAP, if suppose he has to create a sales, or he has to approve any sales order, or he has to display any sales order, so he need some transaction code. So in SAP, like to approving any sales order, he has to run one command that we call as a VF01. Okay,
Okay.
so he has to run this. Similarly, if you want to have it display any sales order, then he has to run this VA01 command. So in GRC in this SAP terms, we call this commands as a transaction code. Okay, similarly, if you want to change any sales order, then VA02 he has to run. Okay, so until here, any question from you?
No, sir, till now I do not have any query.
Okay, anything from your side? Okay, so this is okay. So what we do now, like in case if you want to give these transaction code access to the user, we have to create in SAP we called as a role. So role is a something we have to create like a sales manager. Okay, and in this role we add those transactions code, or we add those commands like vf01, then we add like va03 for example, like this is 03 actually, and then we have to give that va02. Okay, so we create a role like a sales manager, and we assign this role to this user, so that this user is able to get these three commands, and then he is able to access it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is the idea here, like how the user, any user will get the access in SAP. Okay, so that is the core of any user, like how he can get the access. So let's go into the system. So I will tell you like how to access the system later, but not like remote desktop and then we go into the system. So once you log in, like it is same like window, and in the window you have something called like SAP logon. So
Yeah.
so all the user will have this. Like for Vijay, if you want to access SAP system, he should have his system, laptop or computer, and in the computer he will have this SAP logon icon. So once you click here, then one screen will be opening, and this in the screen he will get like which system he want to access. Okay, so like for example this is one ECC system you assume. So if you want to access this system, then here is the user ID and password. Okay, so he has to fill here the user ID, and then he has to fill the password. So assume like we are now going here with the admin, like a security admin, and then we log in into the system, and now we want to create his ID here. Okay, one second, like some issues. Let me log in into the system. Some issue, I think, in this system you're not able to log in. So let's log into another system. Okay, so this icon will be there for the user,
Yeah.
and then like we can log in into the system, and then once like he log in into the system, he can like give the user ID and password, and then once we give the user ID password, we are able to log in into the system. Okay, so this is how we can log in. But now suppose we log in as a user admin, like our security admin. So
Yeah.
if Vijay came, so we have to create his ID. So to create his ID, we have to run this transaction like SU01 to create his ID, and then we give his name maybe. Okay, like for example Vijay. And here if you see, these are the icons available. So we have to create his ID, like create, and then we have to fill his basic name like last name and first name, for example Sharma or something, and then we say like Vijay, and then his email ID we have to mention, and then we give his like password to him. For example, any password we can give, like which we want to share with him, and then once we save, his ID is created. Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
so we share his ID, that your ID is created, and name Vijay, and the password is like hello123, which we keep here. That's our choice. But until and unless we assign him any role, so here is some role option is there, he is not able to access the transaction which we have given to him. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to create his ID also, sorry, role also. And to create roles, we have to give him like a like for example like the sales manager. So this is one role, and then we have to click on create, like create, and then give here the name for the like role sales manager. And once we go here, we can add like which transaction required in this role. So like we add here the transaction VF01 to approve the billing document. Okay, VA02 for example to change the sales order, and VA03 to display the sales order. Okay, and once we create the role, then we leave about like what I am doing here. So means we create this role, and once the role is created, we have to assign this role to the user. Okay, so like we create this role, and what we have to do, we have to like give this role to the user Vijay. So the Vijay user is there. We go to this user screen for Vijay, and we change to the icon, and in the role we assign the role to the Vijay, so that this Vijay will have this role, and if he have this role, he got all the three transactions which we mentioned here, like these three, VS01, VA02 and VA03 for example, all the three, right? So that is the baseline how we create a user. So our job is like whenever any user is joining, we have to know that in which department he is joining, what is his job position, and what is the activity he is going to do. Okay, so once we have this role, so tomorrow instead of Vijay, any other person is joining in the organization, so we directly create his ID and assign this role. Then he also again become a sales manager, right?
Yeah.
So this is the thing like what we do in SAP. That is the baseline, like security, creating user, providing access. That is these two main job responsibility for us. Okay, and then like what we are covering in this course now, like it is just giving you the baseline. So like as you know, some of the commands is there. So what is the command which is required for security? Like to create user, we have executed like SU01. So like that, some of the command for us also it is there. So we are learning like for any security person to perform his job, what transaction he needs. Okay.
Yeah.
Then we have like a landscape. So landscape is something like whenever you are creating anything, okay, so then we are creating in the development. Okay, first we are checking whether it is been created correctly or not. So then you move to the quality department, for example, whether it is created correctly or not, right? If it is not created correctly, then it is again come to the development department, and then they will check that what is the issues are there, and they will correct it and again send to the quality, right? And once everything is right, then it is moved to the production. Okay, so in SAP also we have the three systems actually. Okay, so initially whenever we design the role, we design in the development system, and we move here to the quality system for testing, and once the quality testing is over, then we will be moving to the production department. Then means the end user like Vijay can use it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is the meaning of the landscape. And here in the user admin, like how to create user, so this is the command we have. So how to create user in case if you want to reset the password, what how to do if you want to assign any role, how to assign in case if you want to lock the user or unlock the user. So so by mistake like 3 password is wrongly entered by the user, so his ID will be locked. Similar to your bank, like if you give like 3 time wrong password into the internet banking, your ID will be locked, right? So in similar way, to protect like unauthorized access, if the user is giving 3 times wrong password, his ID will be locked. Okay, so once he send mail and everything, you feel that it is the correct person, then you can unlock his ID. Okay, so that is our responsibility. Or sometime if the user is going for long leave, maybe maternity leave, or maybe like for long holiday or study, like higher study, then his ID will be locked.
Yeah.
Okay, and once he come back, again we unlock his ID. Okay, if some user left the organization, then we have to delete his ID.
Yes. Yeah.
So some parameter tabs is there that will tell you later. Some license data is also there, like what is the type of users are there. Then default tab, so where we tell that okay, because the SAP, like it's not only restricted to the country, but it may possible that many people from different country will be working in the same system. So maybe we are knowing English, but if suppose somebody from the China also working for the Tata Motors, so he want to see all the things into China, so that we can change his language to the Chinese language for Chinese people. Then
Yeah.
then we assign the roles to the user. Okay, leave out profile for the moment. So then address, so we have to maintain his first name, last name, email ID, phone number and all.
Yeah.
So this is how we creating the user. Then how to create a user in bulk. Okay, in case if you want to create like 20 user, 10 user quickly, then how we can create it. Or if you want to deactivate the user, bulk user, if you want to assign a particular role to multiple users, if you
Yes.
want to lock many users or delete mass user.
Yeah.
So how we can do this? And then the user group, like categorize a user in a specific group that we can categorize. Then the role, like we have to provide access to the user for the different roles, so we can create a roles also, single roles, master data role, composite role. We will learn that what is that. And then like whenever we are creating a role, we have to give him, like whether we want to give him the display access, change access, or like a create access. Then some mass changes for the role also. Some traffic lights is also there. What is the meaning here? And how to move the roles to one system to another system. So we have something called a transport. Okay. So
Yeah.
how to move the roles from development to quality, quality to production. And then like a specific security related tables. So like in which table the user information is stored, in which roles, in which tables like a role information is stored. Then in case if you want to see like SUIM thing, SUIM in the sense like if you want to see which role is assigned to how many users,
Users, yeah.
okay, who created the user, if you want to see this history, so those information we can see from this user information that we will be learning. Some restriction on the table if you want to see, if you want to make the restriction like some all the people cannot see like what is the salary of the employee or what is the sales figures is there, so we can restrict also. Okay, so those things we can do. Okay, and then like in case of any troubleshooting thing is there, so how to troubleshoot authorization issues for the users, so these are some commands are there. Okay, then in case of like any user or any other person is creating some custom transaction, custom reports means custom programs, so that we have to provide access for the custom programs. So in SAP, if suppose somebody want to create their own programming, so we have to provide access for this new programs, then how to provide access for those programs, so those we are learning the changes, and then how to implement the security. Then some new component is there like S4 HANA and Fiori, the basic understanding HR security and BI security. So those things we will be like showing you practically and making the concept clear, like what is the purpose of each of them.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Yes.
so this is the basic thing like how we are covering, and these are the document like the PPT that we'll be sharing during the training, so that you have to know that like what exactly is that means here also. While explaining also we are explaining some extra thing with this, but you will have some screenshots also to know that, like later if you want to do some practice later point of time during the training also, you can do the practice and you can ask the question also. That's perfectly okay. But after the training also, suppose if you want to refer and then if you stuck anywhere and if you want to ask any question, that you can ask anytime while
Yeah.
writing a mail, WhatsApp or call me. That is perfectly okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so this is like a screenshots like how to create users, what we do in each of the tab, okay, what is the purpose of it. So like that you will receive this document. Okay,
Okay, sir. Yeah.
so that's about like
Yeah.
what is SAP security is the baseline. So any further question?
No, sir. For now, I do not have any query.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all for like this demo. And
Who will be joining your batch, or is there any other?
yeah, one more person, like actually some other person they ask, but one more person he's more interested. I think he is also
Okay.
joining. Some people like they are not like available for now, but they will be also joining.
Yeah.
But some of the person will be there. I will inform you anyway. Okay, so that is the idea.
From when you will be starting a batch?
Yeah, I will be starting like from